And welcome to another episode of the Empower Man podcast. It's your boy Mikey G coming to you live from the free state of Florida, where we are currently in our rainy season.
Mm.
But when it's time to do the Empower Man podcast, it's always hot and sunny. And speaking of someone who's hot and sunny, I am staring at someone who is a fashionista, a trendsetter. More importantly, he is the culture standard by which all of us men could learn from, but more importantly, utilize to empower ourselves. Not only is he the parent, the patriot, champion of the Second Amendment, he's a role model, he's an influencer, he's an icon, and he is the captain of content creation.
Whoa. Whoa.
His name, Greg A. Tedora the First. Greg,
Wow.
happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday. Thank you again for that intro. I don't know about content creator, but you must be referring to my Other Methods shirt. And if you people don't know what that is, figure it out because they're awesome. Or you might be talking about this, sir. They're out getting orders already for the hats, by the way. Didn't tell you that. So, yep. DM Mike, me, or our page. We have golf shirts, the quick drying wickening polo shirts. We have t-shirts. We got everything. So let us know. The hats seem to be number one right now. So we'll see what happens.
Rumor has it that Empower Man is working on branded contraceptives. Any truth to that, sir?
That's your department. That's your wing over there. So that goes with your bio. Nope.
For those men that
Wait,
feel
that room's
empowered,
empty?
had to go there. And I'll raise you one, sir,
There
from
you
my
go.
hometown of Poughkeepsie, New York.
Po Town. Good old Po Town.
Good old Po Town. And
Mm-hmm.
along those lines, Greggy T, it's that time where we give a shout out to our firemen and women, our policemen and women, our first responders, our EMTs, all of our volunteers. I'll even start including our National Guard that volunteer to protect our homeland on the weekends.
Yep.
Thank you for all that you do. I know this is going to sound weird, started getting really into Chicago Fire. And even though it's a dramatization, it's probably not that far off. Dude, these firemen and women, what they do, and policemen and women too. I watch a lot of cop shows.
Yep.
You guys selflessly put your lives on the line so that Greg and I can do this. So you are appreciated, and thank you.
Yeah, true. And thank you to all the military personnel here and overseas. Obviously, we say this every time. We thank you very much for your service. We are very, very grateful. And we always salute all the guys and gals putting their lives on the line and their families for making the ultimate sacrifice. And yes, to the Coast Guard
To the Coast Guard.
and all
We
the
don't want
rescue
to get
swimmers out there. So others may live, I believe, is what they say.
Yeah, and that is something that doesn't get enough attention.
Correct.
The Coast Guard. So
Yeah.
thank you guys, and we are approaching the country's 249th birthday. Next year will be 250, and I am very happy of the leadership that we have running this country. I'll go furthermore. Kind of funny how all these Democrats all of a sudden are becoming independent, and all of a sudden I feel like poor Joe Biden seems to be like the punching bag of everyone's excuse for gaslighting everyone over the last 4 years. Greg, is there any rumor that you'll be leaving the Independent Party?
No. Everyone knows how I feel about both sides. So, no. Nope. I will not be leaving. If anything, I'll be more entrenched.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I've been getting DMs about me leaving the New York Knicks party after our loss from the Indiana Pacers last week, and the fact that they fired Coach Tibbs. I will not be leaving the New York Knicks party, or the New York Ranger party, or the New York Jet party, or the New York Ranger party.
Mm-hmm.
I am one of those people that just loves pain, and it's going to be another 25 years before the Knicks maybe reach the Eastern Conference Finals. So I'll be in my 70s.
Couldn't tell you. I haven't watched an NBA game in probably 2 decades, and I will not be watching in the future. Not a fan.
That was my next question I was going to ask you. So thank you.
Not a fan. Not a fan of the guys that play. Not a fan of the league. Not a fan of their marketing or anything. The guys dress like girls now. And yeah, they think they have fashion. And please don't get me started on this. I'm just not a fan. And to the WNBA, good fucking job. Just driving that plane into the ground. You have a great opportunity in front of you, read between the lines, and they just won't embrace it. And they are doubling down, in my opinion, on making the wrong decisions. So that's my view on sports. I just watch hockey. That's all I watch. I'll watch rugby if it's on. But yeah, nope. Baseball, nope, none of that. I live vicariously through you with sports, Mike.
Yes, because I do have 3 televisions in my apartment, and usually I'll have the Golf Channel on, or I'll have the Horse Racing Network on, or I will have ESPN on, or something, or MLB Network, because it just keeps me away from the news. I get my news
I'll watch
a
some
little bit here and
golf.
there, but
Yeah, I'll watch some golf.
Scotty
That's
Scheffler's
about it.
unbelievable, man. That guy, and these golfers make it look so easy. They make it look so easy.
Yeah, they're good. They are good.
Speaking of easy, Greg, we're going to ease on into our next topic here. It's kind of a multifaceted, and I love throwing curveballs. Do you ever get into conversations with people that always have to get the last word in, or always have to be right, or always have to make it about themselves? For example,
Okay. Yep.
you got it.
No,
Just
real
what I just
quick
did.
before you
Yeah.
finish that,
Yeah.
all of those were not anymore because I don't really want to associate with people like that. However, that last one you said, where they have to have the last word and they make it all about them. That's the one everyone does nowadays. So all knows and then make it about them. Yes, it's just someone will do it. Somebody will do it. They can't
So
help themselves.
we'll go to the yay. We'll get rid of the
Okay.
nays. We'll go to the yay.
Okay.
So you ask someone, gee, how's your day going? That's great. It's going good. How are you? Oh, well, my neck hurts. Oh, well, my neck hurt last week. And this is what. So therein lies the art of a few things, right? The art of listening and the art of nonverbal communication, which I think today the act of listening has kind of been the art of listening, excuse me, has kind of been lost. I don't think people listen to people anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
What are your thoughts on that?
I completely agree. Dave, one of my coworkers who you met, love Dave. He always used to call it active listening.
Mm-hmm.
So I might be writing something down. I might be. I don't. Usually, eye contact is important, but if I'm looking over here, if I'm doing something, I'm still listening to you, and I'm still hearing what you say. And I think there's a difference between hearing and listening. But yeah, like they all say that the art is lost. So the art, as you call it, of listening, yeah, no, it's not there. Very, very few people will tune in and listen because most people are tuned out on their phones. And people are the one thing I can't stand if I'm talking to somebody and they're just like this on their phone. I just put the phone down. Just put the phone down. But it's the way of the world now. I say it all the time. Unfortunately, it's true.
Well, tell us a little bit more about the difference between hearing and listening. Tell us more.
If you're listening, it depends. You can take it either way, but are you hearing me? Yeah, I hear you. I hear noises. I hear voices. I hear the birds chirping. I hear sirens on a police car, whatever. But are you listening to what's going on? Are you listening to the words that somebody's trying to say to you? Or maybe they're reaching out for help without saying the word help. That's listening. Like cueing in on the signs and you call it the verbal communication. If someone's depressed, they're not going to be like, hey, guess what? I'm depressed. Help me. Maybe they're talking a certain way and hitting key words or points. You might be hearing them because they're making volume and you hear them with your ears. But are you listening to the key words they're saying and listening to the pitch, the tone, just the emotions that the words are carrying out of their mouth. To me, that's the difference.
Well, I also think everybody wants to be acknowledged.
Yep.
So in the act and the art of listening versus
Hmm.
hearing, how do you acknowledge someone as someone speaking? Like, what would be an appropriate way to acknowledge or validate someone when they get their point across? I know I've been in conversations where I've been pacified. I hate being pacified.
Yeah. Yeah.
That really bothers me.
But are they?
Like,
But you can be pacified and they still heard you.
but they continue to do what I request, what I
Of course.
don't right, what I don't
Hmm.
want. Like the other day, like as I was training, I had someone yelling in my ear, and I kindly said I don't respond well to someone yelling in my ear, and they continue to do that. So I don't know if they. So do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I let it go because A, I'm in the middle of a very strenuous set, and B, I also realized that there's an enthusiasm when you're a little bit of a younger coach or instructor. So
Yeah.
your energy's there. So like you let it go. But I did pull him aside and said, "Listen, this is how I want to be spoken to." Even in business, when you're in a partnership, I think when you're unfamiliar with somebody, I have no problem saying, first off, I ask for permission because a lot of
Hmm.
people aren't open to having those tough conversations or feedback or some type of mechanism where you're saying, "Hey, I need to provide you some constructive criticism. Like if you want to talk to me, this is how I like to be spoken to, especially if you don't know me."
Hmm.
So I usually like to ask permission to enter that safe space. So I think it's important as the person that is doing the talking or want to
Hmm.
express your point of view, create that safe space so that you can allow the walls to be taken down. In your experience, Greg, when you're trying to create a safe space for someone to speak their mind, how would you go about doing that? And along those lines, how do you make someone feel acknowledged during those conversations?
So I'll answer the first one, the second part first. When I'll acknowledge somebody because I will engage in literally what they're saying. I might ask him, "Okay, I understand that. I just want to be clear. Can you repeat that again?" Just to make sure that A, I heard them right and I'm not misjudging anything or misconstruing a message they might be saying.
Yeah.
And in business, I used to, like you said, ask for permission. I would say, "Okay." I was the manager, like everyone knows, of a big office. So when someone would come in wanting to problem solve or get what they needed, I said, "Okay, how real do you want me to be? You're real with me. I will be real with you. But do you want gloves off or do you want me to just pussyfoot around and just waste time and not get to the point?" Some people don't want to be spoken to a certain way. So when they said that, be like, just be not be nice, but be soft. Or most of the real business people, like, give it to me straight. Just let me hear it. And I like that because now you have an equal back and forth and there's no hierarchy. I never let anybody call me their boss because I wasn't. Nope. You're an independent contractor. I manage the office and I have a certain skill set. If you want me to help you, I'm all in, but I want you to be all in too. So once that was established, it was a really awesome volley of communication.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Because you understood the person you're talking to. Not everyone responds the same way to
Yeah, yeah.
um, you know,
Like,
feedback.
there's she's one of the top producers now in the office, and I'm could be more proud of her. She almost quit like 2 years into the business. She used to cry in my office literally every week. Cry.
Mm.
And I would say, "Hey, I'm gonna be tough on you and I'm gonna ride you. But don't, it's not personal, it's business.
Right.
And I'm only doing this because I know you can make it. If I didn't think you'd make it, I wouldn't give a shit and let you just sail off. Like Wilson, just go off and drown. That's it. I would let you do that. But if I see something in you, I'm going to ride and push you. I'll say it once to let you know because we would be in group meeting sessions and it looked like I was picking on her, but I'd already have a conversation. I'm going to use you in the meeting next week. Okay, no problem. I would ask her. Yes, you can. And I would go hard on her. And people like, "You let him talk to you like that? Or aren't you embarrassed?" She's like, Nope, this is exactly what I need. And now look at her. And I love that. And I know she wasn't used to that style, and it worked. It really worked. Just right to the point. Stop crying. You got this, blah, blah, blah. And here we are 4 years later, and she's killing it. So,
It's awesome.
yeah, communication.
Yes, and especially I feel sometimes with that there's really no parameters anymore. I think people tend to blend personal professional together. And I'm not talking about like, inner office hookups or whatever. I'm talking about just like with employees, with managers. I know, we talked about sports. A lot of these sports, a lot of the athletes now want to be coddled. I think, we can
One of the
use.
main reasons I do not watch the NBA.
Right. You and I were both athletes, and I know like my favorite coaches and my favorite teachers. I developed a bond with them because they were hard on me, and I
Mm-hmm.
appreciated that.
Same.
And you respect that type of that coaching. At least I did. I feel like when the walls are broken down, and there's a morphing of the professional and the personal, they tend to overlap,
Mm-hmm.
and there's no parameters set. Um, I think that can be problematic. And I think when you're having these tough conversations, especially with people that always feel like they have to be right, or just in any type of relationship, I think there have to be parameters set. You have to you have to set parameters, and then from there you create that safe space where, hey, listen, you know, um, is it okay if I, like you said, is it okay if I be real with you?
Yeah.
Is it okay if you're open to feedback? Is it okay
Yeah.
if I speak freely? And then kind of, adjust your tone to the way people respond. Now, again, I think a lot of people don't pick up on nonverbal communication. I take someone who always feels that they're right or always feels that they have to get the last word in as a form of insecurity. So, how you respond is going to perpetuate their heightened response. If I say to you, well, Greg, it's not all about you, then you're going to
Oh,
get it's
double
it.
down.
And you know what's funny?
Hmm.
In my past, like years ago and whatever, when I've gotten into disagreements with members of the opposite sex, I would always get that thrown back at me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about you. It's not about you. And I never understood that because I wasn't intentionally trying to make it about myself. Fast forward now, years later, I feel like people aren't aware that they're actually making it about themselves. Do you feel like there's a blase or some type of impasse where they really don't feel like, I don't know if impasse is the right word.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like there's a block that people don't really understand that they're making it about themselves?
Yeah, because the person they're talking to makes it about themselves too. So now it's normal. So you have two people, three people that all do the same thing. Now it's just a circle of selfish conversations, bringing it back around to them. And I call it cackling. A lot of the women that I see at events for my kids, that's all it is. And I can't stand listening to it because it's just like birds just making noise. There's no substance to the conversation. It's all about them, what they did, how they feel. There's no substance to the conversation. There's no direction. There's no topic. It's just noise because she's making it about her. Oh yeah, well I did this, and then she ping pongs it to her, and they just go in a circle, and it's a giant waste of time. They don't even talk about anything, and it's a pet peeve of mine. But it's normal because that's what's out there now. So yes, to answer your question,
So how do you navigate through those waters? Like how
I
how
just don't talk to those people. I'm straight up. I don't talk to them. But I know what you're saying. How do you navigate those waters? Delicately, which is not really my forte, as you know, but I try to not engage with people like that unless I have to. If I need an answer to something or anything I need, then I'll have an exchange. But outside of that, no. I just cut them out.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about nothing. It's a waste of time.
And it's draining too. It's
It's
just
so
like
draining.
it's
It's
draining.
so draining. Yeah, you're right.
And it becomes a turnoff too after a while. Like,
It's a
you
major
can only
turnoff.
hang
A
out with
major
somebody for
turnoff.
so long.
Major turnoff.
No
A
matter
lot
how
of
good the
those.
physical aspect might be,
That doesn't mean anything.
it
It
doesn't mean
means
anything.
nothing. at the end of the day. The
No.
hottest girl can annoy you and peace. I'm out. Yeah.
Yeah, I often find sometimes in conversation where it's just, hey, how's this or how's that, and it goes right back to them,
Of
and it's
course.
just like, all right, well, this conversation is pretty much over because you just asked me how I was doing,
It's over before it
right?
started. Yep.
Right? Not even an acknowledgement of like, okay, yeah, I heard you, and went right back to the other person. So
Hmm.
you kind of have to be like, all right, well, if a person's going to do that in that context, then maybe they're insecure, and it's just, is this something like you said? I don't even talk to those people anymore. Is that something you want to be around? You have to ask that as a guy.
Yeah, I agree.
You know,
I don't. And it's just, I don't know. As you get older, more and more people let you down, I think. And that's why my circle has gotten super tight
yeah,
because it's just most people let me down. So I don't, it's almost to be expected now. I know that's very like pessimistic to say, but I don't have, that I don't have faith in people. So,
yeah.
I think it's most things are just a matter of time
Well, I also think as your life gets older, depending on your experience, your life becomes more simpler. It gets more simplified.
because you're more dialed in. At least I am just
Yeah,
dialed in. Hmm.
yeah. It's it's looking at we are, I guess, past the point of being middle age now, right? I mean, 47.
I've been past that.
Right? So,
Hmm.
and I have to realize like, okay, so like one part of my life is, you can look at your life in various methods. I look at it and, I'd like to get your thoughts on this. Like, all right, as I approach 47, I feel like one part of my life is over. And it took me to that point only because I think there's an inner peace I have now, and I have a clearer focus and direction as I say, okay, what mistakes did I make in this part of my life? So I had to get about 5 or 6 Mead notebooks to write down the mistakes I made. Kidding. But just being aware of the partially. Be aware of the mistakes I made, like just self reflection. What did I do wrong? Now
Hmm.
going forward, what are my goals and what am I going to do right? Because again, when you live in victimhood, it's a vicious cycle. You can't get out of it. And you're going to be blaming everybody. Oh, it's Greg's fault for living in Connecticut. Or it's Mike's fault because he didn't shave today or whatever. You can blame your parents. You can blame ex-girlfriends. But at the end of the day, you're still stuck where you are. And it's no one's fault but your own. And I think it's important for you to recognize and acknowledge that these are my choices. I choose to engage with someone or don't engage with someone who makes it about themselves, or someone who always feels that they have to be right, or someone who always has to get the last word in. I choose to be in that situation. Greg, in the course of your life, I'm sure you've done some self reflection. When you're looking at your life now going forward,
Hmm.
what would you say are the biggest lessons and the biggest takeaways that you've been able to um, uncover now that you're in the second part? Let's just say, not the second part of your life, but as you get into our older years,
Hmm.
what points of self-reflection came to life for you, and how did you go about not correcting the course but implementing newer strategies so that you can reach the
Hmm.
ultimate goal you have for your life? That's a multifaceted question.
Yeah, and it's got different categories like personal, relationship, and business. So
Break it down for us.
I guess personal, obviously, I can't physically do the things that I used to do. It's a reality check. Everyone goes through it. It sucks. However, what can I do as close as I can to what I used to do? I'm going to do it. And I want to train that way and figure that out. And we pushed the envelope when we were younger, and I'll push the envelope no matter what that looks like as I'm older physically. That's cool. Personally, reflecting on all the mistakes and just trying to lower my stress is big on my list. Letting things go, something I'm not good at, and just trying the day by day to not let things get to a 7 or an 8, keep them at a 3 or a 4. Because there's no need at a 7 or 8. It doesn't make a difference at the end of that. I've learned those lessons. Like, why did I get instantly upset when it just works itself out anyway?
Mm.
So to let it stay a 3 or a 4 and not escalate. For personal, that would be that. For business, obviously, all the mistakes I've made in business and all the success I've had, just peel apart the things that have worked, look at the things that didn't work and why. And with all the ventures and new stuff I got going on, those I focus on more, why I failed at something or why something didn't work. So I don't do those mistakes again because I'm nervous to do certain things, as you know, and I won't let the mistakes I made in the past happen now. Even in area like I'm not, you know this, I'm not a social person. I don't like networking and all that. You got to do it. In most things, you just got to do it. So I've come to terms with that, and it is what it is. But I'm going to cater to what I believe in and what I want things to look like, and network that way because that's important to me. And then relationships, obviously, like I said, my circle gets dialed in. We have a tight crew. I like that. Yeah, I'm open to meeting new people, but I have my core friends. That's cool. And I know what I want in a partner, and that's it. And I will not tolerate anything maybe that I used to tolerate in the past or whatever. I'm very, the non negotiables are in stone and they're not moving. So
Right.
I just, I know what I want. I want what I want, and that's it. There's no, well, let me overlook this, or maybe that'll change, or let me help. No, I don't have time for that. I did that already, and look where it got me. So
Yeah.
that's a quick snapshot to answer your question.
No. And definitely very thought provoking. Makes you kind of take a step back and assess yourself just based off your, you know, your thoughts there.
Every time I pass a basketball hoop,
Hmm.
I want to see, oh, can I touch the rim? Can I dunk like I used to? But then I stop and I'm like, I will probably tear my Achilles, rip my quad, do all that just in trying when I used to just do it all the time cold. I've come to terms with that. So I just look and be like, oh, that's good. And I just keep it moving because I will get hurt. So
That's funny.
every time I see a hoop, I want to do it. And
That's funny.
nope. Yeah.
That's funny. But I think it kind of bleeds into my next thought and get your thoughts on this. I think your relationship with the world makes a difference, right? Your relationships, how you view business, how you view relationships, how you view money, how you view people. Um, I know for me, as you know, I'm a fairly outgoing guy.
A little bit.
So I love being around people. Since the pandemic, I have become more isolated. It's been, and I actually enjoy being isolated. I enjoy my alone time very much. But then when I'm alone, I the enemy attacks. So when
Mm-hmm.
you're alone, divide and conquer, that's when stuff creeps in, and you start
Yeah.
going towards your vices.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you look at financially, I think understanding your relationship with money is extremely important because from my experience, I've had a horrible relationship with money for 40 some odd years, not till I understood interest and understanding compound interest and
Mm-hmm.
understanding all these different variables through trial and error, through experience, through talking to people like you, who's very good with money, and other of our friends who are good with, with money. Because my relationship with money was not good. So, I just spent it like a sailor. I still do, but I do it differently because I'm putting it towards a long-term goal. Relationship with women, not having a pre good patternization of how a man's supposed to interact with a woman, vice versa. So I
Mm-hmm.
think really what men and women should do if they ever, want to dig deep, as I have over the course of my life, is examine my relationship with the world. So, Greg, when I say, Greg, what is your relationship with the world? How can you break that down? how can you make it more translatable? Because sometimes I give word salad out to people.
The way I look at it when I listen to everything you said, my relationship with the world is, my first thought is the show goes on. The world's going to keep going no matter what, whether you agree with politics, the president, laws, rules, regulation. That shit don't matter. To me, it does, but it doesn't at the end of the day, because we still have a life to live, and I'm not going to let any of those things ruin my day. And that sounds like cliche, I guess the word, I would use a different word. It sounds soft saying that, but what's the point of letting all those things ruin your day when the day could be good? Like you said, this relates back to what we just spoke about. It's looking back to, looking back when something's a 3 or 4, you don't let it become an 8. The world is going to keep moving. They're going to pass laws. We're going to change presidents for the rest of our life. What does it matter? At the end of the day, how does it affect your life? Monetarily, maybe a couple, you can have swings up and down, whatever. Does it affect your kids? If it, people are, yes, it does immediately. Okay, tell me how. But does it really? It could in certain areas, which I understand. I get that. I totally get that. But you have to look at it as the show's going to go on no matter what. You have to do what you set out to do that day, that week, that month to get you to what you want to do. I want to set up my life in Florida with my girl so we can be here and down, up here and down there. I'm not stopping it no matter what to do that. I don't care what it takes. People don't understand it. If you talk to people up here, I'm crazy. And how's that good for the girls? Everyone's going to have something to say. Everybody.
That's right.
It's just noise. It's what I want. I had a great childhood in going down to Florida in the summers and vacation. I want that for my girls. So I will do whatever it takes to do that. We all know I don't like it up here. I like it up here to a degree. But I wouldn't live here if I had the choice, but I'm not going to cry over that now. Like you said, I can blame anybody why I'm still here. It doesn't matter. I'm here and I have to be here. So I'm going to embrace here while I build the other part down there for them. That's all I want. And the world, what's going on and all this stuff doesn't really affect me right now. I got to keep my eye on the prize. I do. Everyone will try to derail you. Everybody, even family will. Because and that's not I'm not knocking any family members. People have different thought process, different brains. People are wired different, even from the same family. And I'm talking about just there's risk takers and then there's slow and steady wins the race. I agree with both sides. I tend to be more a risk taker like you, but some people are against that. So you can come up with the best idea. I want to go out on my own and have my own personal training company or whatever. You're crazy. That's saturated. That everyone does it. That could be a mom, a dad, uncle. It doesn't matter. They're going to shoot you down. That's fine. They're entitled to their opinion. And I understand playing devil's advocate to a degree. But I would tell everybody out there, please don't let that stop you. I'd rather you do it, lose money, fail, and do all that than not do it because you're going to regret it. And it's going to bother you forever. And who knows? Like you said, you might hit a home run. Could happen.
Well, I want to ask you this next question, Greg, is managing outside, forces. So my friend Patrick says, don't let your outside world affect your inside world. But how do you manage that? Like, obviously if you show me 5-year friends, I'll show you your future, as my pastor always says. But some people are in this, like, they're on the wheel, the hamster wheel.
Yeah.
You
Most
can't
people
break
are.
that cycle. So Greg, how do you, and you talked about politics earlier as about president, was it really matter?
Yeah.
How do you not let the outside world affect your inside world? How do you personally?
My dad used to just reword it. He would say, don't let the outside noise affect the inside. Same thing. It's the same principle.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember him saying that when I was little. It's exactly that. You're going to hear 5,000 different opinions in one day, every day, 7 days a week, nonstop. That's fine. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. But at the end of the day, what do you want? What does your heart want and your mind want? What does your
Right.
family want? Then now it trickles down and you better pick the right partner. With the right partner, everything's smooth. If, I was just watching something the other day. They had a young, it was a husband and wife, and they had a couple kids. One of the girls is 9 years old. She's been into gymnastics since she was 3.
Oh wow.
Yeah. But she actually like fell in love with it. Like she likes it. And she goes, I want to go to the Olympics.
Oh wow.
I think there's like 4 women that make the Olympics in the USA for the Olympic team. That team is very small. The odds in that alone, forget it. But the parents sat down and like, all right, she was getting really good. So the parents like, okay, we have to make a decision here. Are we going to commit? And then we're going to figure out what that looks like. Are we going to commit to try this? Or are we just going to keep doing it for fun and she's, really good at it and maybe she wants to go to a D1 school, whatever.
Right.
They sat her down and they're like, what do you want? Because they don't push anything.
Right.
And she was like, I want to go to the Olympics. And they're like, okay, we're going to tell you how to get there. You got to, and the point of the story is the parents were in alignment. They're like, we're going to homeschool. They just immediately switch. We're going to homeschool. It's an hour and a half away to the facility. So that's 3 hours a day to drive. Hour and a half there, train 4 hours back. You got to do schoolwork. They're going to put on a certain diet. You got to do that for 10 years. And then maybe you'll have a shot at the Olympics. 9-year-old was like, where do I sign? Let's do it. And they're like, my whole point is forget that mindset, which is awesome. I love that. The parents making that sacrifice without hesitation on the same page. We're going to homeschool. The mom has to teach that now. The dad has to work and then do his part. But when they're in synchrony,
Right.
it's insane. Everything just flows and they're just doing it. Like that I got out of the story more than the 9-year-old and all that, which is great. But just when you have the right partner, all that noise, that outside noise literally goes away. Because it's about you, her, the family. That's it. That's when you open your front door, all that shit doesn't matter. It's the family.
Yep.
But you can take that when you're solo and do it solo. Figure out what you want, zone in on it, and just don't I'm sure you've heard it in your business. Don't do it. It's so hard. Like there's so many of you. I hear it all the time. Oh, how many people have the real estate license? Okay. What does it matter? There's also really successful people. What do you say to them who make 5 times what you make? Like, it doesn't matter. It's what people want. You just gotta, but there's 2 types of people. There's ones that lead and ones that need to be led. And you got that worker bee mentality. You're either worker bee or a real boss. And I'm not hating the worker bees. Cool.
No.
I'm not wired that way. I know you're not. So that's all good. So let's tap into how we're wired. And that's what we're doing. That's it.
Yeah. And I want to take that tap into the wired part, especially if you have an addictive personality. I think being able to manage, obviously with social media comes the accessibility of things that could derail us. Pornography.
Every second.
Right. We talked about this earlier, like that OnlyFans girl that wanted to sleep with 1,000 men in like 12 hours or some bizarre thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's almost being like celebrated in a way because
it is. It's not like it is. It is all over.
But if a
now
guy
you got
did
copycat
that,
girls,
right, and that's going to lead a whole other, I'll say it, a pandemic of girls just
we're in it.
It's just basically giving themselves away.
Mm-hmm.
And, if a guy were to sleep with 1,000 women, that's considered toxic.
Of course.
It's kind of like the roles are flipped.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, being able to manage that outside world and, with alcohol, drugs, pornography, gambling, like all the stuff that's out there, because it is very easy to let that stuff, control your inside world, your thoughts and your directions, and even who you decide to pick for a partner.
Of course.
So I feel it's extremely important as you're going through your self-assessment to who am I going to keep on, who am I going to keep off. I went through this uh, about 3 years ago, and I have good friends of mine that are barely clothed on Instagram, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I can't look at this anymore
Yeah.
because then my perception of you is going to change. I'd rather just they still follow me, but I don't follow them back anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it.
You know,
Yeah.
so it's kind of interesting how the roles have been reversed in a bad way when it comes to
Mm,
certain things. Obviously, you've experienced when outside factors can influence people that are close to you and
yeah,
how that can be divisive,
of course.
right? So you got a guy in your situation that might be in a situation that you're familiar with,
Mm-hmm.
in regards to a wedge that's being driven into the family, whether it's social media, whether it's keeping up with the Joneses. We've used that term before. It
Oh
could
yeah.
be like chatter in the chatter in the community, whether it's like, oh well, I have this and I have that. How do you stop that wedge from being driven into the family?
I. You can't stop the wedge from infiltrating because you can't control somebody else. Once you see it, you can react to it and try to dismantle the bomb as best you can. Most of the time, it doesn't work. And then you have a hard choice to make. There's only one or two things: you stay and you're in it, or you leave. And both look different, and both have pros and cons.
Right.
So you can't. All you can do is react after the fact because
Right.
someone may be getting messaged or this or that, or even their girlfriends can be infiltrating them, talking about the guy in the relationship and the wife or the girlfriend. You always have those friends trying to pull you away from something good because they don't have it themselves,
Right.
and you got to start communicating and talking, and hopefully, they're being honest with you, and you're on the same page, and maybe it'll be cut out like a cancer, and you're good, and you'll never see it again. More than likely you will because it's not cut out, even though you think it is. And now you fast forward a year, 2 years, 5 years, whatever, and there it rears its ugly head again, and it's right there in front of you. You got to make a decision. But I just think it's the norm nowadays, and it's more accepted now. And we see the whole simp culture with these guys getting just trampled on and cheated on, and they stay, and they're demasculinized, like you said, and all of that. It's horrible. It's horrible. It's bad on both sides. And it's just the way I think relationships are more toxic now. They're more accepted now to be toxic given the social media culture and whatever marketing is being done out there, which is sad because the younger people, this is normal to them now. I always go back to that. I have little girls. I have friends that have little girls. It always goes back to that. They now see this on a daily because they're always on their phone. My girls are too young, but like the older ones, that's normal to them. This whole not good relationship with a man and a woman, and the women just body count 5,000, 1,500, 5,000. First of all, let's talk about the mental problems these people have because they're mentally disabled somehow. There's something wrong there. There's some sort of trauma or whatever. Same for the guys too. It's not normal to sleep with 1,000 people. It's not good.
No.
And for either guy or girl, I'm being completely fair on both sides on this.
Right.
I also think it's a detriment. How are these people going to be in a relationship after being with all those people? I don't think it's possible to be in a real, true relationship. It's got to be hard. Could be wrong, but I would think it's hard.
I agree because now, like every girl you look at as a conquest, every girl, a guy that a girl looks at is just another number on your body count.
That's it.
So it kind of kind of ties everything together. It all comes back to validation. People want to be validated in conversations. People want to be validated in life.
Mm-hmm.
People want to be validated, socially. And how you view being validated is going to really determine your relationship with other people. And also how you like to be validated is going to also depend on how you look at people. Looking at nonverbal communication, a simple head nod, whether someone says something and you reframe it. Let me make sure I have this correct. Like
Yeah.
you've used that a few times in your practice.
Mm-hmm.
Or I like to just say like, hey, what's the worst thing about changing? Like, what's so good about a 5,000 body count? What's so bad about a 5,000 body count? What
Yeah.
what what are the in regards to validating? Hey, I hear you. Body count's important to you. What's good and bad about it? It's like people that want to change their life. What's good about change? What's not good about change? Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You used to tell me all the time, if things don't work out for you in DC, you can always move back. Things don't work out for you, you can always move back. But I was afraid. I
Mm-hmm.
liked my life in New York. I was validated. I felt comfortable. I felt
Of course.
accepted. I felt right. So when you leave that for something new where no one knows you, it's like, wait,
I'm not
no one's
saying it's easy. I agree.
no,
It's
no.
hard, but it can be done, and you've done
But
it.
it can be done. And if we can do it, because you've moved multiple times, you've
Mm-hmm.
started various businesses, I think again, um, look at the worst case scenario. What's the worst that can happen? Obviously, with a 5,000 body count, when we were growing up, AIDS and HIV was a big thing.
Yeah.
Now it's not even
It's
it's not even
still
a
up there,
forecast.
but it's still there. They just did an STD study. Missouri, St. Louis, it was off the charts. It's off the charts.
And I've wrestled in St. Louis, so I know.
It's just,
I do.
but once again, it's not a big deal to these kids
Hmm.
because it's normal now. Like, oh yeah, that's no big deal. That could be cured, right? Maybe, I don't know. And then there's new things coming out that they don't like. All these new things. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't. Is it worth it really for some social media clout? But that's how a lot of these girls make their money nowadays. So
Yeah.
that's their job.
Content creation.
Content creation. That's right. Do you want to do content with me? It's like, yeah, I pass. Yeah,
Well,
I don't
speaking
get
of
it.
passing
Hmm.
and understanding it, wrap us up here, Greg,
Mm-hmm.
because we've covered a lot of topics. We've went in different directions. What are your final thoughts on some of the topics that we talked about today with conversations? People that always feel like they have to be right, people that always have to get the last word in, people that always make it about themselves, and the I would say the factors that influence what is and isn't appropriate in today's standards of um, a relationship. Let's face it, with men and women, men and men, women and women, women and men. Wrap us up and take us home there.
I'll end it like this, which is kind of weird. Not really weird, but just keeping it real. The Our conversations that we have usually on this show are not the norm that's out there, clearly. And that's why we do this. We're actually trying to help people. We're not reading the Bible. We're not saying, oh, I'm a recovering alcohol. There's a million of those. They get old. They talk about the same shit all the time. I'm not necessarily knocking them. Everyone thinks I do. It's old. Turn the page. What else do you have to say besides that? We cover multiple non-sexy topics that maybe more people should listen to and try to enact in day to day to make it just a little bit better. To turn the page of all the darkness that's out there now and all the just the shit that is clogged up now in podcasts and social media and all that stuff and all the fake noise that's out there with podcasts. And it's just people trying to gain more, hand out more money, more. It's just how I'll take us home is this. What difference? This is going to sound so, I don't want to say the word because I get heat for it. How are you going to change the world? I don't think I can't change the world. I can't. Not the world, but your world. which in fact is in the world. How are you going to better yourself, which therefore betters your surroundings and therefore will benefit your friends and then they benefit you and it becomes a giant snowball of all good things. Because now you're a unit with all your sphere of influence as we call it is all like-minded people. Man, that looks good. It really does. But that can only happen when there's no outside noise. So when you're listening to somebody and you're hearing somebody, and if you don't like what you're hearing, then just don't partake and align yourself with people that you, and I'm not saying have the same opinions. See, people mistake that too. You can have very differing opinions and still they can be in your sphere of influence. That's another thing. People are so quick to divide, like polarize nowadays. Like, oh, you like blue, I like red. Oh, I guess we can't talk anymore. That's the dumbest shit I ever heard. It's the dumbest shit. How about you? But you're aligned everywhere else. But because of I like red and you like blue, we can't talk. There are people out there like that, which I don't understand. You're missing out because if you guys are very like minded and all that, you can agree to disagree. It's cool. And you can talk about red and they can talk about blue and it's all good. You and I don't agree on everything. That doesn't skip a beat on anything.
Right.
It's all good. I wish more people were more not forgiving, more open-minded when it comes to being able to disagree on certain things but still be tight together. Still have an open conversation, hear the other person and that let them hear you. And instead of blanket statements or non-factual things what you hate, everyone holding a sign up like Free Willy, like, okay, how? And they're like, well, I don't know. I don't ask me. And they just, they don't have any answers. Maybe you should do some research and find some answers. Or maybe, why don't you talk to the other side and you guys have a conversation? And maybe I'm not saying you'll switch sides, but you might see their point a little bit better. And guess what? You might enlighten them to see your point a little better. Now, guess what? You guys can coexist thinking different things and it's all good. But they don't want that nowadays. So that's why it is what it is. So I just say, how are you gonna better your world? Start by listening to what's around you. If you like something, cool, and if you don't, keep it moving. Keep it moving. Kind of a weird answer, but
Hey, I like it.
how
And
would
it's
you
cool we
answer it?
learned it. How would I answer that?
Yeah.
I would just say I think the key is you gotta have self-awareness. If something is not good for you, gotta have the strength and the self-control to cut it out. I think those that profess recovery or religion or other things, I think it's great because it creates the awareness. We've always questioned the substance,
Yeah.
substantiality of their content,
Mm-hmm.
because what's it like off camera?
Yeah.
I think what we do a good job of is saying, look, this is off camera.
Yeah.
I screw up off
Yeah.
camera. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
do things I probably shouldn't do, but
Mm-hmm.
it's life is a constant growth.
Mm-hmm.
If you stop growing, you stop learning. You stop learning, you stop growing. It goes hand in hand. So, and I just, you know, even with the mistakes I've made, I need to keep making mistakes until I reach a point where I'm done.
Of course.
I know the truth. The truth is, in for me, I've uncovered the truth is written in the Bible. It tells you everything you need to know about life. Do I keep screwing up? Absolutely. But I'll get to a point where I keep screwing up where I'm like, okay, I get it now. And a lot of people are like that. A lot of people, hey, I'll keep messing up till I've had enough. But the cool thing is that whatever you believe in, you know, your friends will be there for you. Your
Yeah.
family will be there for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, higher powers will always be there for you. And I think that's the thing. Don't beat yourself up from screwing up, because you're going to screw up again and again and again. Try your best to learn and grow from it. And I think that's what people need to be aware of, is like, hey, listen, it's a continuation. It doesn't stop. Just because I'm cured or I'm healed or I've worked on this or worked on that doesn't mean I'm going to cut people off from speaking. Doesn't
Yeah.
mean I'm going to try to be right in certain conversations. It's okay. I'm trying to be right in this conversation. Let me take a step back and let me listen. So every conversation you have, every day is a blessing because you never know when your last day is going to be numbered. So take that day to learn and grow, but more importantly, live. Live life to its fullest every day. Whatever you're doing, whether you're staying at home, then that home life you have,
Yeah.
use that time to live it to its fullest because you never know when your day is going to be taken and your number is going to be called and you're going to leave this world. So
And
that's all.
there are some people you try to get through to. Sometimes you just can't.
Yeah.
And you can try to word it 5,000 different ways saying the same thing. They
Yeah.
don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
They don't want it. Like you said, they don't want to hear it, no matter what it's labeled, looks like, what words you use, facts. You can write it down. It could be a numerical equation. 1 + 1 is 2, and they don't want to hear it's 2. There's
Yep.
nothing you can do about those people.
Yep.
You can just try to tell them and then let them just do their thing. So don't harp on that. If you tried your best and they're just not in that space, maybe one day they will be. But it's not my job anymore to get them there or to try rewording it for the 5,000th time.
That's right.
So I'm not taking that on.
Nor should anyone. Yep.
Exactly. That's my
Agreed.
point.
Agreed.
So
Greggy T,
mhm.
great thoughts today. Great dialogue. Great conversation. If anybody
Mhm.
wants to reach out to you for a little coaching one-on-one,
Mhm.
or they just want to ask you your opinion on sports,
The Real
where
Housewives of the NBA.
where can they find you? Yes. Where can they find you?
Well, I will say this. Well, they can find me here on Empower Man, but I'm going to be opening up a Deep End Fitness here in the Stanford Greenwich area in probably the next 70 days or so. We're getting everything worked out. So if you guys don't know what Deep End Fitness is, I'll put a link in the bottom. It's basically like CrossFit underwater. It's
Ooh.
being comfortable in the water and breath control and great workouts. It's more of the higher end or more hardcore stuff in the pool, which is awesome. So I've always wanted to get back into the pool, topics we've talked about in the past, and this is a way to follow what my heart wants. So I'm going to take the leap of faith and I'm going to, open one up here. They're all over the country that the closest one I think is New York City and Boston. So I'm going to open one up here and it's going to be pretty awesome. So if you're in the area, hit me up and I'll get you some info and we'll have some classes. I'm going to probably do 2 to 3 classes a week. It's pretty intense.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, we look forward to hearing your chronicles and your journey about
Yeah.
this from the ground up. That's really
Yeah.
great. So people can take a lot away from that. So we
Yeah.
definitely look forward to that. And
The rum is about, what are we in June? End of this month? If not early next month, man, we're good. We're just waiting for approval from the government for the 1,000th time, and then we're good. So
and in 19 days you'll be down here back on the boat.
we will be there for Carol T's birthday with the girls. It's going to be awesome. They can't
Looking
wait.
forward to that. That'll be a lot of fun.
Can't
Be
wait.
a lot of fun, man.
Yeah.
So, well, I'm going to sign off from the free state of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
God bless the USA. God bless Greg A. Tedora, number one. And more importantly, God bless you,
Well
our
said.
listeners. Take care, and we will see you soon.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, everybody. And just do you and be safe. Have a good one.